It's fine. It's a belief system. He's allowed to believe it, and people are allowed to vote for it. But if liberals deny it, like he's just going through a goth phase, they're going to lose more elections. This is not a communist country. It turned one of Latin America's richest countries into one of its poorest. Low wages, high inflation, shortages, outages, 8 million people fleeing. If you think New York can somehow reinvent this wheel, you're in for a rude awakening. Zoran can't make your wishes come true. You're thinking of Zoltar.
She said it. No filter, no shame. A top advisor to a prominent New York politician declared, "Seize private property. Home ownership is racist. Elect more communists." These chilling words from someone shaping policy in the nation's financial heart weren't fringe. This was an agenda Bill Maher warns is tearing the Democratic Party apart. A radical vision, openly embraced, threatening American values and stability. The implications for elections are catastrophic if liberals refuse to confront this dangerous ideological shift. It's a political bombshell, revealing an unsettling truth. This wasn't an anonymous troll, it was Kia Weaver, chief of staff to New York City Council member Zoran Mamdani. Her radical statements form the foundation of policy in influential New York. Mamdani's focus on rents 2DM high makes Weaver's position critically important. Her role implements policies impacting millions, rooted in these extreme beliefs. The mayor's implicit support highlights a critical inflection point for Democrats. How far left is too far for party leadership? What message does this send about their true intentions for economic restructuring? Bill Maher isn't holding back. He argues this isn't mere rhetoric. It's a dangerous ideological drift. The DNC, he claims, allows messaging to be interpreted by voters as a clear lean towards socialism. This word carries significant historical baggage, triggering alarm bells for vast numbers of Americans. Maher frames this as why the Democratic Party's strategy keeps imploding, a self-inflicted wound. This perception isn't confined to critics, it's reshaping the party nationwide, threatening to alienate independent and moderate voters they desperately need. The DNC's struggle, he insists, links directly to this uncomfortable embrace. Some might dismiss Mamdani as an outlier, unrepresentative of the national movement, but Maher insists this narrow view misses the bigger picture. New York isn't just another city, it's the financial heartbeat of the United States, a global symbol of capitalism. What happens there doesn't stay there, it ripples outward, shaping national perceptions. If voters associate New York's governance with an alarming shift towards socialism, that perception alone could devastate the Democratic Party's image nationwide. The party's tacit acceptance of Mamdani's views, Maher warns, is a monumental strategic blunder, ceding the narrative to its critics. The idea that private property, especially home ownership, is a weapon of white supremacy is political dynamite. Maher ridicules this, especially with 20 million black Americans owning homes. He likens such utterances to privileged college musings, learning privilege hating at an elite institution. But these are adult statements from a position of influence. Maher quips, for some, elite college means you're only a lesbian until graduation, but communism lasts a lifetime. This rhetoric is out of touch, insulting, fueling division. Maher argues the Democratic Party's strategy implodes for a simple, explosive reason. Many Americans instinctively recoil at anything sounding like communism. The label alone triggers deep alarm bells. For voters, it feels abrasive, threatening, tied to historical images of government overreach, economic stagnation, lost freedoms. This isn't just policy, it's a visceral reaction. Whether fair or exaggerated, Maher emphasizes it's politically naive for any party to ignore such a powerful historical current. The political consequences are undeniable and potentially devastating. Americans historically defined themselves in opposition to centralized economic control. Generations grew up during the Cold War, where communism was unequivocally the ideological enemy. So when contemporary rhetoric echoes those themes, it creates widespread anxiety. Maher contends dismissing these legitimate concerns as ignorance only deepens the divide, alienating crucial voters. If the Democratic Party allows messaging to be associated with failed socialist experiments, the political fallout is inevitable and self-inflicted. It's a catastrophic wound from misreading the electorate's core values. Let's settle the debate, Maher proclaims. Mamdani isn't just a socialist. He is, unequivocally, a straight-up communist. How does Maher know? He points directly to his advisor, Kia Weaver, who explicitly states, elect more communists. Maher argues that when a high-profile figure's closest counsel openly espouses such an ideology, the lines blur between socialist and communist in the public's mind. This isn't about reading between lines, it's listening to the clear message. This direct branding causes irreparable harm to the Democratic Party's broader image, painting it negatively. Mamdani's openly socialist branding, Maher insists, genuinely damages the Democratic Party's broader image. This isn't merely about one politician's platform, it's about pervasive perception. When a high-profile figure embraces policies labeled as communist or socialist, it hands opponents a powerful weapon. The entire party risks being painted with that same brush, regardless of moderate stances. This narrative, Maher warns, carries high political cost, creating toxic associations that undermine trust and alienate swing voters. Failure to confront this allows a damaging brand to solidify, making it hard to shake off, leading to predictable electoral defeats. What's more surprising, Maher notes, is that even many millennials aren't automatically sold on this extreme message. While stereotyped as progressive, they demonstrate profound economic pragmatism. They worry intensely about jobs, inflation, business growth, and long-term opportunities. If policies appear overly extreme, economically risky, or destabilizing, their support quickly softens. This isn't a generation blindly following ideology, it's one keenly aware of financial futures. Maher suggests ignoring this pragmatic streak is a critical miscalculation, assuming blanket progressive acceptance that simply doesn't exist when real-world consequences are on the line. Maher's broader point is stark. Elevating figures like Mamdani grants critics ammunition to brand the DNC as drifting too far left. Once that damaging label sticks, reversing the damage becomes an uphill battle. The party will struggle immensely to win back trust and votes of moderates and independents wary of such ideological extremes. This isn't just about winning, it's about winning elections. If the party allows itself to be defined by its most radical elements, Maher warns it's a battle they may struggle to win. Consequences are dire for their viability. Ultimately, Maher's point boils down to brutal political reality. While these beliefs are allowed, if liberals deny the radical nature of such figures, treating it as a goth phase, they are condemned to lose more elections. This is not a communist country, Maher emphatically reminds his audience. American values and historical experiences simply will not tolerate an overt shift towards such ideologies. The denial, the refusal to confront this uncomfortable truth, is not just intellectually dishonest, it's a self-destructive political strategy. It will ensure continued electoral defeat, perpetuating a cycle of losing. Maher's concern isn't just opinion, it's a significant talking point. His warning on real time, Democrats risk losing if they ignore communist branding, taps into truth. Gallup shows most Americans strongly prefer capitalism. Many Republicans view socialism negatively. Labels like communist or socialist are far from mere rhetoric. They carry substantial political weight, acting as powerful deterrents for a broad electorate. This data underscores political peril. America, Maher cautions, is not Venezuela. Most voters don't want their country to descend into similar economic turmoil or instability. Maher cites Venezuela's catastrophic collapse as a chilling warning against aggressive socialist policies. Once rich, it has, under extreme state intervention, endured brutal collapse. The contrast is jarring, a testament to devastating real-world consequences of straying too far from fundamental economic principles. This historical lesson should not be ignored by any party governing responsibly. The contrast between Venezuela's struggle and America's strength is critical. Today, Venezuela's GDP is a tiny $120 billion, a fraction of the US's $29 trillion 2040 times larger. This disparity matters intensely. The US economy fuels innovation, jobs, global leadership, whereas Venezuela's struggle is contraction, crippling shortages, massive decline in living standards. America's resilience is rooted in democratic institutions, diversified markets, a system rewarding productivity, not stifling centralized control. Maher's point is undeniable. Straying too far invites catastrophic political and economic consequences. Maher delivers a cutting analogy. Democratic socialism is like a dating profile. Things look great until you meet up in the real world. He exemplifies this with Bernie Sanders' vision of single-payer healthcare for $340 million. Yet, when liberal Vermont, with only 626,000 residents, attempted its own system, it collapsed spectacularly. This failure, Maher argues, exposes the impracticality of ambitious theoretical policies when confronted with complex realities. Appealing promises often crumble under implementation, leaving unmet expectations and disillusioned citizens. Maher sees it plainly. Figures like Mamdani, AOC, Sanders don't fit the traditional Democratic mold. They'd proudly declare they are not Democrats, but democratic socialists, a crucial distinction many fail to grasp. Maher implies these figures advance a far more ideological agenda, diverging from mainstream principles. He questions why stronger pushback from party leadership is absent when rhetoric veers toward democratic socialism or radical economic restructuring. This silence speaks volumes, fueling perception the party is either comfortable or unwilling to confront it, allowing a radical narrative to flourish. Maher offers a nuanced point. American democracy already contains socialist elements: Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, public schools, corporate bailouts. These are government-run funded for the common good, acting as social safety nets. His argument isn't that every collective policy is dangerous. Rather, he distinguishes between balanced market capitalism with limited social programs and radical overhaul. Pushing towards full-blown socialist framework, he warns risks upsetting the delicate economic engine, driving innovation and prosperity. Maher stresses DSA represents a truly radical approach, far beyond softening capitalism's edges. He warns radical economic policy is inextricably married to radical social policy, a dangerous interconnectedness. Their platform openly advocates for completely open borders, a policy far exceeding even Biden's pursuit. This exemplifies how extreme economic proposals inevitably lead to equally extreme social transformations. Maher's implication is clear: those embracing this ideology must also understand the profound social consequences. Maher connects this radical economic push to the Democrats' original misstep, leaning too heavily into woke politics. He argues intense cultural messaging, divisive identity battles, and rigid ideological purity tests alienated significant middle-of-the-road voters. This disconnect, he believes, directly contributed to painful losses the party still struggles to explain. Instead of recalibrating towards the center, some factions appear determined to push even further left. This doubling down, shifting from cultural progressivism to overtly socialist economic rhetoric, he warns, risks compounding the problem and narrowing their coalition further. Maher highlights a perplexing contradiction. Parents were petrified of COVID, masking 2-year-olds with minimal risk, keeping schools shut, yet these same parents seem unable to challenge their children when they embrace bad ideas. Children historically always thought up stupid shit, but parents used to tell them that's ridiculous. Not today's parents. Now they're more likely to say, "You're right, honey. Gender is just a social construct." This societal shift where adult pushback is absent mirrors the political realm. The impact of ideological policing isn't just theoretical, it manifests in concrete political consequences. Congressman Seth Moulton, despite a perfect LGBTQ+ score, faced immediate backlash when he stated, "I have 2 little girls. I don't want them getting run over on a playing field by a male or formerly male athlete." His campaign manager promptly quit. This incident, Maher argues, vividly illustrates how quickly a politician can be deemed unacceptable for expressing common sense, even with a progressive record. It highlights stifling ideological purity tests that silence dissenting voices, pushing the party to the fringe. Ultimately, Bill Maher's argument boils down to one undeniable warning: perception is everything, and political branding can elevate or destroy a party. He believes the Democratic Party dangerously flirts with labels and ideologies, from progressive cultural politics to democratic socialists and communist rhetoric, that make most Americans profoundly uncomfortable. Maher isn't rejecting reform, he's highlighting political reality. America has always balanced vital social programs with a strong capitalist backbone. When voters sense this balance tipping too far, their reaction at the ballot box is inevitable. The DNC's failure to grasp how its messaging lands risks alienating crucial moderates and independents. His closing message is clear: adapt to the electorate's values or repeat painful lessons.